you said that you had made an observation or come to some awareness based on something you were watching on YouTube.
Yeah, and the observation has to do with the grip. Well, not the grip, well, kind of grip, but for what I mean by this is now typically, you see a lot of people play like this, which is they're like here, then or like here on the hi-hat, and then they have to go to the right, and they kind of switch to this sort of position, which I kind of get it, because you probably have more access to fingers for people that use not. So I get that. However, the observation is if you like your grip is here, so match thumbs down, palm down, and then you are here, and all of a sudden you want to make a stroke with this hand on the snare. You don't really have, well, you basically only have two options here, is or you do this because you're here to kind of match the same thing, so you end up this bit of an awkward thing. And what actually tends to happen is not this. What tends to happen is that then you're here. You're basically doing this because you're here, so you're just doing this, and this hand is doing this, which basically means you're not going to be very consistent in your strokes if you have to make like transitions. However, like if you're playing the ride like this, right, it's pretty much the same thing. So that is my observation. I also observed that in general, if I'm like palm down on the ride, that I also, and particularly when you're doing like patterns on the bell, that you also have way more control, because obviously the bell is a bit skewed, so you have to do this kind of thing going on. And if you're here, you're gonna have to do this. Now, what's gonna tend to happen is, your stick is not gonna have a lot of control because it doesn't have actually the palm to stabilize it. Whereas here you do this, right? Stick can't really go anywhere. Those are my observations.
Well, and those are some of my prevailing thoughts, some of them. There's a lot to unpack there, really. I want to be careful because even though I hung out at Freddie's while he taught some students, one who was a name and then someone else came in and was an up-and-coming guy. And one of the things I remember, Freddie, now I might be wrong, we should check with an authority, and he's been over to my house at least 2 or 3 times, and hangs, and he was teaching my girlfriend how to play the snare drum. We're all in a circle around him. Of course, he picked my girlfriend, he didn't want to hang out and teach the guys. It's like, I'm teaching Charlotte. And but I remember that Freddie would talk about that. He thought that this would help you get to different sound sources, right? So that was, or if it's not him, I know that approach exists out there.
Yeah.
I remember Jim Blackley talking about the right hand, because he played traditional, although I'm sure he taught matched. He taught left-handed players. So. But I just remember him talking about my right hand being like a universal joint. So you see, there's that thing, right? And in a sense, a universal joint is akin perhaps to a fulcrum, right? And so it remains stable, and everything can move around it, right? So in a sense, this technique incorporates a universal joint, but in a different way, it seems. So, and as well, Dick Wilson would say he thought this approach to playing was the best way to play on a drum set. And Chad Wackerman talks about the fact that you can move because we involve throws, right? You can throw to cymbals. You can throw to get to where you want, right? As soon as you're in French, it restricts the ability to make throws. That's why a lot of guys will play half turned over because there's still access to a throw. And in traditional grip, once again, we have a throw, right? We have a throw, and so we can get to other sound sources via a throw. So if you're playing on a cymbal in French and you want to play an accent on any other sound source, or even an accent on that ride cymbal, you don't have access to the throw, which is cool because, and here's the caveat, plays in French, he's got cymbals way over to his right, he's not going to twist his arm over like this. This is more comfortable. He's not, and he's going to use his awareness of how the fulcrum changes based on whether you're palm down, half turned over, or in French. This idea that the stick suddenly is going to go all over the place because you're in French, I don't know about that. Because now using a different fulcrum, and the mechanism will work a little bit differently. You're right. Now Murray would say that French is good up until about maybe mezzo forte. And then he said, and everyone at that point, they go to play a backbeat, and what do? They do this. They could have matched, right? Because it's tricky. How do you play a backbeat? There are guys that do it. Amazing drummers that sort of play French. They can do that kind of thing. Manu Katché, I need to watch him again because he's like a French guy. Amazing drummer. And I remember, how's he making a backbeat? We have to revisit that. But so, and again, this is a rarefied environment, what we're doing on the snare drum. And when we get on the drums, all bets are off. Right? It's like we're trying to play music. So if you're feeling something in this grip, the gig is you really want to learn how this technique works so that rotating from palm down to half turned over to French isn't a big deal. Because all we're really doing is utilizing what is a lever system, right? That's really it. That's why Richard Martinez and I got rid of metaphors in the 4 Modern Drummer articles that we wrote. We just talked about the lever system. Now, it's true, metaphors can help. The right timing with the right student, saying the right thing, create an imagery, might be very useful. But all we're really doing is applying force to a lever arm over a fulcrum, right? And so this idea that you mentioned, because if you're in French, now you have fingers, but you don't over here, or you implied that.
You do, for sure, right? But it's just you feel it a bit differently, right, I suppose.
You'll just feel it differently, but that doesn't mean that fingers can't be operating. And so as soon as we apply fingers, as soon as we start to pull with our fingers, now what we have happening is the force coming from the fingers, right? And that means if the force is coming from the fingers, that means now the fulcrum is probably going to be first finger and thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have to understand that. So as soon as you go to use fingers, the fulcrum's going to change. And once you get this stuff, it's actually really simple. It's not that big a deal. It's not this scientific endeavor. Although it seems like that as you're coming up and developing. But this thing is so simple, really. Once you get it, you realize it's innate. It's how our human bodies work on this planet, with the physics on this planet. And so when we're applying force, don't play first, don't play. When we're applying force using the little finger fulcrum, we're applying force via turning our wrists. See? Here we're fingers. Here we're fingers, right? Or here we're wrists. Okay, so and if I'm playing wrist and not playing doubles, we're not utilizing the middle finger fulcrum in the way that we would if we're playing rebounds, right? So you just know, you start to learn these things. It becomes certain things with regards to this technique become kind of obvious as you go along, right? But it can be ambiguous for a while until you get your head around it. So let's get our heads around it. But that's cool that you're like thinking and looking at videos, and right. Remember, there are no right or wrong ways to play, as you could say.
It's just my observation. It's my felt.
But if you can find a technique that's more efficient than this one, I'd like to know it. You would say so. So you're working on the paradiddle, right?
Yes.
Where were you playing that? Where'd you get that to?
Well, it got me like two sorts of exercises. One with quite a few accents.
Yeah, no, that was something I invented.
Well, exactly.
So I'm talking about just the single paradiddle out of the Spivack library. Right? Which looks like that.
Yep. Yep. Have the same page. Well, I mean, you know what you said was play a 8-note, 16-note, and 16-note triplets.
Let's just 40. So let's just start with the 8th notes and take a look at it.
Yeah. Shall I do the metronome? Yeah.
Okay. And action. Okay, now double the speed. Watch me play. I'm doing it different than you. Playing it differently. Can you see the difference?
So I think that you only go up to the throw later than I do?
What's that?
That your throw is later than, so you rest on the floor for longer?
Yeah, do you notice? I don't go up and up. It's not that fast. Right? Metronome on. Different, isn't it?
It's just it's harder to time it because you have to time it. You have to time it bang on, otherwise it's gonna, yeah.
Okay, so I know that I think it's an English saying, mind the gap. Speaking of, I think you used the word bullocks earlier.
Bullocks.
So,
yeah,
and maybe that means to mind the crack in the road, or maybe that means to mind the crack in the mind. There's something missing, right? You need to bridge the two. So I'm going to, let's pull out the Feint and Flam. Pull out that page. This up so that this becomes better understood.
Yeah.
And just becomes part of how you play. All right, and that's page 8. Okay, now it's actually Richard Martinez that believes that this page really sets up the whole technique. Right, this is really the introduction to kind of the foundation of what's going on here with the Murray Spivack, Richard Wilson technique. And this might seem as though it is beneath you or beneath us. It might seem trivial, but the nuances involved in getting this played correctly will affect your ability to play through all of the strokes. So the first thing you want to do is just describe to me what a Feint and Flam is, what that is. How do you play that with this technique?
Yeah, so basically looking at the first one, so it's upstroke.
What? Pardon?
Upstroke on the left, right? And then there's going to be wrist turn on the right, and the downstroke on the left.
And what else do you see?
Well, it's the continuation, right?
Well, having you look at the whole exercise. Murray's written it out here. There's more to it than that. See?
So it's basically all upstrokes and downstrokes, pretty much.
Take another look at it. Now imagine you're in the orchestra pit. And Simon Rattle is asking you to take a look at a score and play it in a certain way. You need to really look at the score. It's not about playing it, it's about reading it in a comprehensive fashion. I mean, Murray just didn't willy-nilly this thing. There's more to it, and you're not noticing it. Which I get. Okay. You notice the onomatopoeia, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Sound coming from the voice is mimicking the sound being played, like a paradiddle. It sounds like paradiddle.
Yeah.
What has he written to describe how this would sound?
Ta-tla.
You blew it off. Yeah, ta-tla. ta-tla. Maybe that's a Spivack invention, or that's something that goes way back before our time. Well, the drums aren't really that old. They haven't been around all that long. It's a fairly new instrument. Newer than the saxophone. But it hasn't really been around that long. Okay, and what else do you see?
The volume of the notes. So there's a piano in this forte.
That's kind of a big deal. Simon Battle doesn't want to have to stop the entire orchestra because you missed that.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice in that box to the right, he defines the sound ta-tla. What does it say?
The ta is soft and the pla is loud.
So now that you've got your head around that, the gig is that all of the unaccented notes are going to be pianissimo.
Yep.
So go ahead and play it for me. No metronome. Take your time, any tempo. I really need to hear a flam. The flams are inconsistent. And are you playing the rhythm correctly? How would you count that? We're playing eighth notes, even eighth notes. There's no shuffle. Different, isn't it? Okay, but you're not playing it with the Spivack approach. Okay. I need to stand. That'll cool down a little bit here, Southern Cal. Okay, so we're looking to keep the unaccented notes pianissimo, and we're looking for up and down strokes. And true, authentic up and down strokes, as they relate to this technique, have to start from the floor, right? We're just touching, and I don't really play this way. See, it's in the left, we would touch, see, the match grip, we touch, so this Feint, Flam, Feint, and Flam, Feint, and Flam, Feint, and Flam, Feint. Very simple, but look how snappy it is and relaxed. This is not how you're playing it. So let's just dial in on exactly what it is you're doing. And this will translate into the rest of the technique. So this is really important, not to just blow this off. Okay, so the upstroke has a lot to do with the concept of half the effort and twice the speed. Because, and you've seen the video of Murray Spivack teaching Louis Belson, you see, now I'm going into my Murray imitation. You see, you're so close to the surface, you can't help but make a note. So that means, first of all, we really do need to have a floor so that we really are close to the surface. You came in a lot of your descriptions as you were showing me the ride cymbal, you were kind of up here somewhere. Now, I know you weren't really playing, you were just describing. But for whatever reason, if I was describing playing on a ride cymbal, The hand that wasn't on the ride cymbal would be down here somewhere, right? Or I'd be here on a ride cymbal, half an inch, parallel beat to butt end to the playing surface, at whatever angle I have my cymbal. Okay, so really need to have a floor. Floor, floor, floor. And that comes from this. Now we're not holding our arms up at all, are we? However, when we go into our position, there is a sense of holding up the arms. There is some countervalence going on. We don't want to be up here. We want to be holding our arms here in as relaxed a way as possible. There's just nothing going on. Shoulders hang, everything's hanging. Stick is laying in the hand. Okay, so the gig with the Spivack technique is that, like, the upstroke is for free. Right? All we need to do is just let it drop. And we're already going up. Just let it drop. Let it drop. No, you're not making, no, you're just lifting your arm up. You see, this is where, now you're going to have to be patient and get into this. And just enjoy the process. Okay, no, that's not it. I just do this. Put your stick over your leg. Now it's going to be, not going to be at the floor. Now it's going to be parallel to the floor, not our leg, which would be like a drum or the floor. Now we're here as a remedial exercise. You're going to have to move your hand holding the stick on your leg. Move your left hand away. And we're just going to drop the stick on the leg. No, you placed it. You didn't drop it. No, you just drop it. Just drop it. How come you don't just drop it? It just drops. It just falls. Now that's exaggerated because you're moving much further than you would. Can you feel a tap on your leg?
I mean, I'm not on ISA on this leg.
Yeah. There you go. You should just see. By letting it collapse, it'll just, or in a sense, you could say you're turning your wrist. But, and it should just, if you're doing it properly, we're copying what I'm doing because I'm just making this up, right? This isn't playing on a practice pad, but you're just, let me see. You just want to let it fall and rest there. No, on your leg. I want you to feel this. You're just gonna let it fall. Feel the stick laying in your hand. You just feel it make contact with your leg. It's actually tactile. You can feel it. Now it's not a practice pad. It's not an inanimate object. You feel that? This is Richard Martinez shit, you know. Well, and this is what Murray was really talking about when it came to him discussing this with Louis Belson. You don't have to shove it down. You just let it fall. Okay? Yeah, that was a good one. So now we're here. So very subtle stuff. Why do I need this? It doesn't seem like playing. I want to play. Telling you. So what we're doing is we're just letting it fall. Okay. Not bad. We're just turning our wrist. We're not going up. We're not trying to go up. That's the gig. That's the mysterious aspect. I don't really hear a tap, but it just could be that at your end it's a little quiet. Can you turn your end up? I think the last time we did this, I wished I could hear your pad a little more. Just don't exaggerate it. But I want to make sure that we're making contact, not just with the instrument. There you go. Right, now, there. So you're just going to let it drop and turn your wrist. Right, Marie would want to get to this part. the gig is that it's not about going up necessarily. That's not what we're thinking. Right. Remember, Murray would say you follow it up? We're not thinking of, I'm going to go up. We're just making contact with the surface. And now we realize that there's the ability to make a thrum. It's tiny, isn't it? And you barely need, if you're doing it the Murray Spivack style, I don't teach style, but you'd want to realize that you're just going, say, you're already up. You can turn, right? Murray would just have you go up. We really get to this pretty quick. Now, okay. Now Dick would add, would also introduce the idea of going up and adding muscular force. Right? So Dick wouldn't be about getting to this position as much as he'd want you to follow it up. He'd want you to follow it up this way. See? But see, I'm still getting that tap first. This sets it up. If you don't get this and you go like this, you're running away from the surface. You get this tap. Or, in a sense, here I'm adding muscular force. I think of it a little bit less. I think less of using gravity and more about turning my wrist. Okay. We can actually get more volume that way. Murray just drops it. Now that means that you're getting that note for free. Might seem too subtle to actually take seriously. So, were you doing Murray or Dick?
Dick.
Now you kind of pulled up though. You have to make a tap. No, you're pulling up. You have to get that tap first. There you go. There you go. You just had it and you want to talk. Stay with me. Really, it'll behoove you. There you go. Now you're going to, but you can't come up to the ceiling first, but you're going to turn your wrist a little bit, not just let it drop, which could be considered a wrist turn. This is where it gets a little mysterious. I get it. So now we're just going to turn our wrist and follow it up. But you have to get that initial contact. It's like you felt it here. Watch. Watch. Come back to your leg. Back to the leg. All right. Now we're traveling more distance, so it might be easier to feel it in a sense. So we have to get that. We have to feel it hit our leg. Then we can follow it up. Follow it up. Once you feel it touch your lip, there you go. There you got it. That's more like it. Right, now do Murray. Now stay on your leg. Nope. Nope, first it has to just drop. Now you're going to cock your wrist. You gotta be careful not to hurt yourself. Don't hit your knee. But you have to let it, show me how it drops using gravity. There. Now turn your wrist to the ceiling. Don't go up. Turn your, what was all this about? Just touching and turning your wrist. Well, remember, once you touch, let's see. Touch and turn your wrist. And so I get this kind of thing. Isn't that kind of how Louis looks in the video? Right? Because you turned your wrist. He hasn't come all the way back to here. So you don't hold it rigid. Turn your wrist. Don't use your arm. Turn your wrist. Turn your wrist. Come on. No, using your arm.
Well, because it gets to this point, if I want to go upwards, then it has to be arm, right?
This is a feeling thing. This is tricky stuff. Okay, so let's just take a quick look. You're just letting it drop, right? Just letting I feel the touch, and now I'm gonna look. If I just turn my wrist from here, I turn my wrist all the way up. There's some reaction here. It doesn't stay down here. It's more like that. There's some level of some level of something going on, very subtle. But we don't hold it. No, we don't want to do this. Okay? We really want to throw that stick up and throw that stick back. Okay, so we're touching and we're cocking our wrists. It all happens right away, though. You touch. I should say, because it feels almost like after you touch, it doesn't all happen right. First, you got to touch, and then you turn your wrist. Don't use your arm. Turn your wrist. Yeah, touch. You touch. No, when you touch, it's going to just do this. It's just falling. It just falls. And look how tiny it is. Now I'm going to turn my wrist. So there's no bicep going on. There's none of this.
There isn't. It just gets to this position. I can't go further if the arm doesn't expand. This is the thing.
It will move. I just want to caution you because that's what guys do. They want it to look a certain way and they impose muscles that aren't necessary. You really learn to turn your wrist. Let me take a look. Let's take a look at it. Watch my elbow. Right? Is there a tiny bit of bend after you touch? Touch. Touch. So after you touch, could there be just a tiny bit more bend? No, first you have to touch. So first you're going to touch, and there's going to be something that happens here. Maybe just a tiny bit more that will help you. There you go. Touch. No, you don't lift it up until you touch. It's already gone up. Now you just bend a tiny.
This is the other one.
Okay, but when you touch, there should be some reaction here. Watch. Just the tiniest. Look.
There is.
You see it? You see it? Watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn my wrist. So it's tiny, right? Good, good. Now bend it a little tiny bit more, just a tiny bit more. And now cock your wrist. So once I do this, and I do this, and then I cock my wrist, this starts to fall in. It doesn't all come up. There's a relationship, but it's much better. Okay, now show me Dick.
The thing is, like I've been doing Dick for so long, it's just easier for me. But this is the thing.
Nope. You think it's easier, but you're not doing it correctly. There you go. You have to touch. Now you're going to bend more, and you can turn a little bit. I don't think of it as much as gravity. There's some muscular force going on. You create a little more volume. Doesn't sound any louder to me. And we turned up here. No, I want to hear a little. Look, even with gravity, let's listen. Here's gravity, and I get a tap. I need to hear that. You can't lift it up to the ceiling. It just drops. Almost. That was pretty good. Okay, now let's take a look at the Feint and Flam. So what we're doing is we're starting with that motion in the left because the left is an upstroke. So it's going to be however you want to do it. I suggest perhaps Murray, gravity. Just let it touch. And there's a tiny, tiny bit of follow through. Mostly I'm spending my energy getting to the the meat and potatoes of the stroke. This is where your power is, Murray would say. This part is where the power is, which is debatable because you get a lot of power doing this. Nope, you're lifting to the ceiling.
When I touch and then go up, why isn't this a continuous motion, right? It should be this.
No, doesn't do that. What you just, nope, doesn't do that.
Why, man? It's just, that's weird for me because otherwise it's kind of like two separate movements.
If you need to think of it that way, but you'll see that you're getting that note for free. There, and you're making contact with the instrument. See, but that's the thing. You think that it's two movements. No, it's not. Touching the surface and you follow it. Touch, follow. But look, it's all one watch. It's all one motion. Watch. Tap, touch.
Right. So what you're saying is not this.
Oh,
it's notes.
I do dick. It'll look like one continuous motion. Tap, touch. It's all one motion. If you need to do it so slowly that it almost feels, that's okay. The gig is I want you to get it. And when you get it, I'll tell you got it. And you've had it a few times. Yeah, Raph. Yeah, Raph. Now, the other hand, we have to concentrate on getting a consistent flam. Right? So we're going So the hand that isn't making the throw isn't making an upstroke, it's just making a tiny little turn. Show me a tiny little turn. That's what it's doing. That's all this is, but it has to be perfect, or you're not really getting a note for free. You're just imitating something, so it's not half the effort, twice the speed. So it might be twice the effort and half the speed if you're not careful. You got to get this right.
So the flam is how open it is.
Well, we can debate that, but
okay.
What I'm asking for isn't necessarily, Raph, don't play for a second, isn't necessarily how open it is, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to consider. But what I want, I want them to be consistent. I want them to sound the same over and over from one hand to the other, making the throw. Okay, go for it. Consistency. No, you just, and you're right, you turned real high. It's a tiny little turn. It's pianissimo. See how important that is? No, your flam was too closed. Nice. Not bad. Not bad. Up, you turn to the ceiling.
Yeah, I did.
Good. Put the metronome on at put the metronome on at 40. See if you can get it. You're a little slower than 40, but let's see if you can get that. Don't turn the right hand too high for your little, should be just a small pianissimo wrist turn. Can't lift to the ceiling on your up, and you're lifting every time. How you lift. How you lift. To make the flam, not for the up. And don't lift so much, it's not, you're inconsistent. Your right comes really high for your flam, and your left doesn't turn as high. And so the flams aren't the same every time. There you go. Oh, turn the left kind of high that time. Turn the right kind of high. Don't turn the right too high this time. Too high. Came up to here. Just a little turn. Just a little turn. Same as in the left. There you go. Now I want to hear an even flam. I want to hear a flam. It's good, Ralph. Good. Oh, you lift it up to the ceiling. You're right. Right there. You did it again. You get it. You can't lift the right up on your upstroke. Now, no, you lifted it up. You're losing concentration. You've had it like for a while. And your mind, because it's hard, you have to think, right? Right now, after a while, it would be like, it'll become second nature because it's easier, right? Because believe it or not, as you become more attuned to what's going on and what's going on with your body, you realize that this is different than this. This is a lot more work than this. So really all we're really doing is this. Watch. Okay, this is free. All I'm doing is this. I'm really, the only real activity is locking my wrist to the ceiling. The upstroke is, you wouldn't even know you're making it. You weren't really aware. Okay, so you actually felt that, and you're getting it. Okay, now let's take a look at the flam and feint. No metronome. All the same concepts are going to apply, aren't they? It's going to be an up that doesn't turn to the ceiling. There's going to be a little turn. It's just a different timing because now we have a dotted eighth note. So it's going to become a shuffle. Lift it to the ceiling. You lift it to the ceiling. You lift it to the ceiling. Isn't it funny? Just a little rhythm change and everything is gone. So you've abrogated this technique. You got it. Come on, don't freak out. You're doing great, man. You realize that? This is the real shit. That a lot of people don't have the patience to stay with, sit. It just drops. Ta. So now what you're getting, it's coming along. Now what you're getting is you're getting that little flick that Dick Wilson would talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's a dotted eighth note, that 16th note is closer to the downstroke. So you have to get up and down more quickly. So you're going to get, so in this case, it's going to start with ah, 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 ah. Now just watch. Ah, that. See? But all that stuff, I touch first. I don't go yanking it up. I can do Dick. He comes up a little more, or Murray. And the upstroke will be not as significant, or it'll be equally significant, but just not as loud. I don't know if significant is the right word. Because every note we play has significance. Okay, try it. See, watch. Ah, 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 ah.
And I suppose with this kind of flick that you were describing, this is probably one of those moments that you really feel a lot the squeeze and release thing going on. Right?
Don't do that. It's cool. I get that you want. No, I'm not, Raph. I didn't mention squeeze and release, so I'm not thinking squeeze and release.
I know.
I'm thinking about what I'm telling you. You don't have to worry your mind with that, because you felt this. Whatever you're feeling, you can think about what it is you're feeling later and put words to it. But you're lifting to the ceiling, so you won't know whether there's anything going. But what would you know if you don't? It's really motions is what we're talking about. With this stick laying in the hand, and everything will take care of itself. Not bad. Ooh. Don't go yanking it up. You have to, no, you're yanking it up. You had a couple good ones. You have to touch first. Slow down. Slow down. Oh, you lift it up. You can almost tell, can't you? Because I don't hear that little nice solid tap. That significant tap, as quiet as it might be. Oh, that's pretty good. I pull it up. Slow down more. Maybe it'll be so slow it'll barely be an up, but you're going to let that first note drop with gravity. Yeah, see? Now what are you going to do? No. Come on, go slower. I'll force you into feeling it. Drop it. Drop. Nope, you don't come up. Came up. No, just drop it. Now flick. Go on, flick. Good. Now drop the other hand. Now flick. Come on, cock. Drop. Drop. Flick. No, don't lift up. Drop. No, you're just lifting up. Ah, good. You have to take a, oh, yeah, good. Nice and relaxed. If you have to take a moment in between making the motion, remember you said it doesn't feel like it's all one motion. Maybe at this speed it isn't. I just want you to feel that. Yes. Oh, you lift it up a little. Oh, lift it up. There. Good one. Now the other hand is making a little turn, which you just did. And you're doing good, good, good. Up, you lift it up. Up, kind of lift it up. Where's the floor? Where's the floor? You're getting the idea. You're getting the idea.
The other thing we like the drop, it's hard not to do multiple notes. So to just control one note is tough.
Well, there's actually, I feel as though making one note. Watch. Watch.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There is less to control because you don't have to rely on the rebound. You don't have to rely on the middle finger fulcrum. Okay. I have to make two notes, but just to make one note, it's just laying in my hand. It's just laying in my hand. I'm going to do this. The Richard Martinez thing. Take your thumb off. Not your first finger. Keep your first finger. Now just touch. Just touch. Just touch. Watch. I get a note. If I turn my wrist, just like here, watch. Do it over here. Just do it over here for a sec. Take your thumb off. Take your thumb off. Let it lay in the hand. Mostly the first finger, middle finger and first finger. I don't want you letting it lay in your back fingers. That's not what we're going for. They're just hanging out, okay? You could feel it. It's just laying in your hand, you know? Yeah, what? Yeah, you see, watch. Just drop it and you feel it touch, don't you? Yeah, just, and this time don't let it lay on yours. Don't let it lay on your leg. Just turn and wait there. No, you have to drop it. You can feel it touch, couldn't you? Feel it? You feel it in your hand. You can feel it on your leg. Oh, don't lift up. Okay. You're there. You feel it? You know, put your thumb on. Gently put your thumb. Just lay in your hand. You don't have to lift up. Just drop it. There. A really good one. Now that you've done that, you can cock your wrist. Okay. So there's not a lot to control if it's laying in the hand. There's nothing. It just goes clunk. There. 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 There you go. You getting it? Very good. Remember where this is in the recording so you can look back, you know, show off to your girlfriend. Look what I can do. She said, I don't get it. Well, what the hell? Okay. There you go. There you go. Okay, so go and put the metronome on at 40 and let's see if you can play this. We spent all this time on what seems as though it might have very little to do with what's important about the technique, but it could. That wouldn't be further from the. That couldn't be further from the truth.
That's all good, man.
Okay. Yeah.
It just feels that I never cement these things, man.
Well, we're cementing it now, right? Because if you bog down a student with this kind of detail in the beginning,
he's gonna give up after one lesson.
He'll go right for the hills. What? But you have some of the strokes down. You have some rebounds happening. Now we're really fine tuning the motions.
Oh, good, man.
Don't lift up. Make that contact first. Imagine it landing on your leg. Imagine the pad feels like your leg. See, there you go. See, it's got a touch. It's coming along. Now let's go to the flam and stroke. Good. Okay, this one is interesting.
Yeah, indeed.
That we're going to be starting with a flam, but that first grace note now is an up. No, it's not a shuffle. They're straight eighths. Tap, tap. No metronome, nice and slow so you can get the motions. No, you're not in time. I don't mind you playing without a metronome, but you have to play it in time. See, we're not looking for speed. Speed isn't the goal here. But we're looking to play this stroke rhythmically correct, and as well with the motions that I'm asking for. So we're getting it. It's going to be a little turn in the right. Remember, Raph?
Yeah,
Raph?
I'm up listening.
Stay with me. It's going to be a little turn in the right. You felt, wait, just stay with me. Don't even play for a second. It's going to be a little turn in the right. Okay? It's going to be a little turn in the right. And we have a little upstroke in the left, the drop. So it's going to go up.
Yeah.
You know, nice and solid and snappy that is. So the rhythm is 1 and 2 and 1. You turn 2 4. First note's a drop. What? There you go. Drop, drop. Drop the hand that isn't turning. There it is. I turn the hand that isn't dropping. Just a little wrist turn, like before. Same damn thing. Metronome on at 40. See if you can do that. Look how close you are. Look how you're down at the floor. How close you are to the surface. How flat you look. The hand that's dropping precedes the hand that's making that little turn that you've been playing for the feint and flam and the flam and feint. Watch the consistency of your flams. You have to turn the hand that isn't making the up at the same height as the other hand every time, and you might get even flams. Nope, you have to drop it. Nope, you have to drop the grace note. It starts with a drop, doesn't it? There you go. There you go. All right, good, 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 good. So you're just going to work on those 3 strokes. Just first without a metronome, and then at 40, right? And recognize that this is the elixir that will cure you. This is really cool, right? We don't have to rush.
Oh, this is all good, man. So
yeah, We don't have to rush through this and show everyone how fast or loud we can play. In fact, you're playing in a controlled way. This is what drummers can't do. They can't play pianissimo. Right? So you're learning kind of, it's what you'll hear in some of your favorite players who studied with Murray and with Dick. You'll hear yada, 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 yada. So I always loved listening to that bootleg. Vinnie recorded it on a Wackerman under his floor tom from the Baked Potato with Dave Boroff and the Double Digit IQ Band.
Double Digit IQ Band, that's an awesome name.
Amazing band. And I can hear that in Vinnie's playing. So he's able to play these quiet notes and snap these accents, right? So this is real distinction between pianissimo and forte, okay? Doesn't mean that's the only way we play, because you might need to get on a rock gig and play the hi-hat in another way, right? So, but this will teach you how to do that.
Yeah, it's the foundation, I get it, yeah.
Okay, so now let's take a look. Let's just take a look at doubles and roll strokes. Okay. And we're just going to bring to you what it is you've just learned. We're really just talking about motions and the stick laying in the hand. This technique is actually that simple. And yeah, when we want rebounds, there's going to be a focal. Okay, so it's our new magic number.
40.
Lucky that my metronome doesn't go any slower.
Murray always said that 40 was the baseline, so.
Okay, so go ahead and metronome on at 40. And we're just going to bring to doubles and roll strokes what you actually know it, right? You've just experienced it. So let's see if, because remember, the rhythm changed from the Feint and Flam to the Flam and Feint, and totally hung up your motions. Like, just no. And then you went, oh, right? Then you went to play the Flam and stroke using these motions, and you couldn't play the rhythm correct. And then you went, oh. So now let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with doubles and roll strokes. You're playing 16th notes at 40. Means you're going to be on the wrist. We're wrist right now. Go for it. Just above parallel. You don't have to turn too high. Somewhere around, just somewhere around mezzo. So, look how relaxed this is. We really want to be at the floor, right? One hand isn't playing, it's just waiting, 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 waiting. And then when we're ready, we'll play a 7-stroke roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, we don't have an upstroke. We're so slow, do we? No. Watch. Here's what I want you to do. Because when it comes time to actually play an upstroke because of the speed, you'll be doing something like this, which is kind of how you came in today, right? So it's not going to be this. It's as if, you see, I've told you often, that the upstroke is really just a throw. Because this other note's for free. So even if I'm not, because I know how to do this. See, I don't need to touch a surface to do this. But I can go. If you'd almost think that I meant to do this, right? It's like, oh, he's missing his upstroke. Tap, tap, or tap. Okay? It feels as though it could be an upstroke,
yeah,
but it's not. It's not this. Not that. It's what you already proved you can do. So do it. Means you're waiting longer. Remember, you noticed that. I played paradiddles. Now you're flicking. It's more of a little flick, perhaps. Here. No, you're just cranking her up, waiting up in the air. Go on, keep going. Concentrate on it. There you go. There you go. Hey, it's nothing. It'd be snappy backbeat on your rock gigs doing that.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, you mic up your drums and you go, what? That's the Vinnie 1-inch death punch. Now I'm gonna kill you. He hits you 5 times before you ever land your blow. No, it's whack! And you hand the guy his heart. Isn't that what you could reach in with that? Right? That's getting a little gruesome, but yeah, it all happens like that. Yeah, dude. Other way. Oh, you went back to your other thing. You inhabited the old Ralph's style. Okay. Where's your right waiting? Your right's up in the air. Now it's up in the air. You don't want to wait up here. Timing of the throw. Both ways. Doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, what? Up. Relax. Just watch. Gravity. Free. Dip. Oh, shit. Now the ups are louder, aren't they? So I'm adding some muscular force. Vinnie. Vinnie. Now Murray. Free. Gravity. Dip. Muscular force, but I'm still making the contact. The idea is to get the bottom of the beat on the upstroke, and you're not going to get it if you don't make contact in the way I've described. The motion comes organically from turning your wrist and making contact with the surface. Not this idea of, I've got the technique, I'm going to make a motion. And you're yanking the stick away from the surface, and you've lost making good contact with the instrument. So you just got to know your practice better today, the two of you. You know, you guys are good friends again. That was good. Okay, turning off the camera.